Okay, we are done with functions. We're going to start the next set of videos on Python modules and packages, right? Now, we saw functions earlier as a way to split up code, to simplify and make things reusable. But functions are only the first step. As a developer, you will create programs or applications which are thousands of lines of code, right? So, if you're working with a team of developers, you might be even creating a much bigger program, right? An application, and you are not just going to create one, maybe multiple as a developer, right? So for these reasons, you need more ways to break up our programs. We need them. So of course, Python has an answer. The answer is modules and packages. In these set of sessions, we will try to get a basic understanding of these two mechanisms, which allow us to do modular programming, right? Modular, just going to type it here, modular programming. Now, what is modular programming? It's a process of breaking a large program or application into separate, smaller, more manageable subtasks or modules, right? So individual modules can be put together like building blocks to create big applications, like Legos, or you might have used them. So you use different modules and then you create big applications. Modularizing your code helps in many ways. The most important ones are, it allows you to simplify code, right? You don't have to think of everything at one shot. Okay, I did say something like this when I talked about functions, but that's not a coincidence, right? Module is like a bigger unit of function, and module focuses on one relatively small part of the problem or the application. So remember, when you really create big ones, a function is very small, but you need a slightly bigger construct, but it's still pretty small compared to the whole, which is the entire program. So you focus on that module and get that module to work, and you don't have to worry about all the other things in the world. So it's easier to do, and we have lesser errors to deal with at a point in time. The next one, so we covered simplifying code. The next one is maintainability. So in maintainability, so what the point about maintainability is, in modules, the modules are supposed to have logical boundaries. They are supposed to be logical boundaries. So everything that happens inside is not fully known to others. So others use the module for what it does, but they may not know how it does it, right? So they know what it does, but they don't know how it does it. If you write your modules this way, there could be instances where the module can be changed without affecting other parts of the code. So as long as your module only exposes what it does and does not expose how it does, others can use it, and when you could change things, but others don't care, because you might change the how of it, how you do something, but as long as the what does not change, others don't get affected, right? That makes the entire code easier to change for upcoming changes. So if you build any software, once you go down the developer journey, you will build a lot of software. So every time you build, you create something and then you change, right? You never have software which created once sits forever. It never happens. Change is always there. Change is inevitable, right? So when these upcoming changes come, if you have written it in modular ways where the modules are only exposing what you need to, that is the what, then it's easier to change them. So if you do this, you and the others in your team can easily work with a big application without stepping on each other's toes. That is maintainability. Simplifying is when you write the code first, but maintainability is how you change later on. The next one obviously is, the big one is reuse. We already saw this with functions, right? So functions can help with reusability, modules can, and are typically a collection of related functions, right? That's what generally a module is. Of course, it can have other things too, but primarily it will be a collection of related functions. So the module itself can be reused in other contexts, right? Like, say example, the math module, right? So you don't need to duplicate code. So the built-in module math is an excellent example. You have a bunch of functions in there, you use all of them, you don't have to write them again, right? Whether it's square root or sine, tan, whatever it is, right? It does all of that. Cool. So that is the third one. The fourth one is scoping. Now we have already seen how functions can provide a separate region for variables to live, right? Now modules are very similar, and these regions are called namespaces. I think we talked about it, but module is a very clear namespace. You will have actually a name. So modules, the module name becomes the namespace name. The modules will allow you to define variables, functions, and other such objects, and they live in a separate area from other code. So this reduces the chance of name collisions. A calculator module can have an add function, right? That is separate from the add function which is present in an online shopping cart module. So if I have a calculator module and an online shopping cart module, both of them can have add, but they mean different things and they can be kept separately because they are in a different namespace. So in toto, modules are like functions and so are packages. They help with modularity of code. They are just bigger than functions and smaller than packages. That's the module overview. Now we just got an idea about modules, right? Now let us get to definition of it. So there are three ways to define a module, right? One is a module written in Python. This is what you will do pretty much. The second one is a module written in C and loaded by the Python runtime, right? And the third one is a built-in module which is already present in the interpreter, like the math and IT tools. So these are module definitions. These are ways of defining modules. Whatever the case, right? Whatever the kind of module, we can use them or access them the same way. And we have already seen how to do this. That is the import statement. Though there are three ways, we will be focusing on the first way because we are here to write Python code, not C code. C is a different programming language, and it's a much more it's a powerful language, but it's a very non-user friendly. At least in my book, it is a much more lower level language, whereas Python is a much more easy to understand, easy to pick up language, right? Now we are going to create modules using Python, right? Now how do you create a module? It's very easy, right? All you have to do is create a new file and add the code you want. It should be valid Python code, of course, and name the file with an extension of py. That's it. Now actually we have done this before, right? No abracadabra, no magic, right? So it seems like it's just about writing another Python file. As long as it is in the right location, we can start using it. Let's actually start doing this, okay? I am going to define a module here and then we will see how to use this. So my mod.py module is ready now, right? It has got two variables, right, and two functions. Whatever files we created earlier could also be treated as modules, right? They are very similar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the same folder and then in the Python REPL and then do actually start using it. So I imported the module and then I actually started using the functions, right? First function I already used. And I don't have to stop here. I can even use other variables and other functions, right? So let me just do a few more just for variety and stop there. Let us do a few more. So behold, you have just created a Python module and used it as well. Pay special attention to how I am using it, and we will cover that in more detail down the line.